This is how we helped Sienna go from 80 to 100% in 3 weeks. But what was interesting was that she knew the content, but didn't know how to translate that content into the exam. So, for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Andrew Malcolm. In year 11, I failed math, and in year 12, I taught New South Wales for standard math. And for the last 5 years, I've been helping students score Band 6 in the HSC for standard math with my company, ACM Tuition. So, with that out of the way, this is exactly what we had to do with Sienna. The first thing we had to do is diagnose what the actual issue was. So we had 3 weeks before the exam. Obviously, we can't waste any time just flapping around. So what we did when we did this diagnosis, we found out that she knew all the content perfectly. Like, there wasn't any issue with that. I think the test was on trigonometry and financial maths. But she didn't know how to study properly. She was doing extension English, and she was getting high marks in that. But for maths, she was just stuck at this 80% range because she didn't know how to actually study. So she also didn't know how to handle those exam style questions. So we made this decision is that, we told her straight up, look, there's no point in us teaching you new content, or content that you've already know. It's a waste of time, right? We want to make every minute count so that we can actually, be as effective as possible in these 3 weeks before the exam. So we shifted the focus from learning to exam execution, right? So this is what we did. We built a targeted roadmap for her with HSC style questions. Again, she knew all the content. We didn't waste time on that. We focused on the hard questions and the long, wordy exam questions. And no just random practice of, random questions, random textbook questions. We gave her exact HSC questions to help her and she could just follow. Right? And the issue was before that she was just doing random past papers from her school or would just cram everything, in the night before, and it just wouldn't work, right? So in the lessons, when we were actually teaching her, instead of, again, teaching her the content, we just broke down how to solve the difficult questions. And not just that. If you give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. We taught her the frameworks of how to actually start questions that you don't know, and how to break down those wordy questions as well. And once she figured out how to do those, right, when she went into and did the practice tests and practice exams, she could actually use these frameworks to target the questions and actually learn how to do them properly, right? So step 4 was we also gave her, as after she did the HSC questions, we gave her timed testing questions that were tests from her school, right? So she did them timed and recorded the results. So we could actually see her progress over time. Like, are you improving? And the main part isn't, am I getting 90% consistently? It's like, are you able to target those wordy questions? Are you able to solve those wordy questions? Or are you spending a whole lot of time just cramming through them because you're not using the framework correctly? And then also, we got everything marked and reviewed every mistake. And this is the most important factor as well. If you're not reviewing where you're going wrong or what's the, if you have no idea where you're going wrong, I don't understand how you expect to get a Band 6 in the HSC for maths, right? You got to know where you go wrong, so in the test you don't make the same mistakes. And the big thing, a hint I'll give you is that the top students just do all the practice and make all the mistakes and review them. So in the exam, they've just covered all the possible mistakes they could have made. Step 5 was we just did a daily structure for her. So she didn't know how to study. We gave her a clear daily plan. Sienna was a trapeze. She does the circus. She's a national athlete. And so giving her a 20-minute plan was pretty much what we needed to do to get her up to that 100% as well. Right, so she didn't have to overthink and waste time thinking, what do I have to do in this test to get to that 100%? She just had a clear plan of what to do every day. Right, like I said, she didn't have time for 3 hours of maths a day, so we made a study plan that fit her schedule with short, focused, efficient study sessions. Right, so the result, everything aligned on the test, and she walked in, she got 100% for her first test in year 12. So the big takeaway is that results happen, massive results happen when you know exactly where you're struggling, right? The reason why we are so good is because we can diagnose where the student's actually struggling and target that. The next thing is using a proven system that works. We've helped hundreds of HSC students score that's band 6 in the HSC for standard maths. So we know what works and what doesn't. I went from failing year 11 to topping the state in year 12. I know a thing about failing and doing well. And like I said, when you have experience with hundreds of students, that's what's the big takeaway, right? So look, if you want help and you want results like Sienna, there's a link below to book a call. And I'm just going to see what we can do to help, right? If I can't help, I'll let you know. But I'll build you out a full roadmap to get a band 6 in the HSC for standard math so that you can walk into your next exam confident and ready to get that band 6.